Today, we're diving into the career of Anatoly Pokanevich, a professional who has this incredible knack for stepping into really complex, sometimes totally chaotic businesses and just transforming them from the inside out. I mean, it's a huge question, right? Is it about finding the right tech? Is it about getting the people on board? Or is it about the actual processes that tie everything together? We're going to explore all that through the eyes of someone who literally does this for a living. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get into his core problem-solving approach. Then we'll see how he wrangled chaos in some massive corporations, how he champions agile methods for teams, and even how he builds businesses from scratch. And finally, and this is the best part, we'll look at the cold, hard numbers that prove it all works. So at the very heart of how he works is this really simple but super powerful framework. It's all about 1. Find the problem, 2. Figure out the task to solve it, 3. Take action, and 4. Get a result you can actually measure. This is the blueprint for turning a mess into a success. You know, we can actually map his entire career using this logic. It's known in professional circles as the STAR method: situation, task, action, and result. You can think of it as his personal operating system. So we're going to use that exact framework to break down how he turns businesses around, from huge companies to brand new startups. Let's start with the big leagues. We're talking large corporations. This is where you find some of the gnarliest problems, especially after something major happens, like, say, a merger. This slide just perfectly nails the situation at a company called Evergreen Garden Care. After they merged, they had no single product database. Data was all over the place. Processes were a total mess, and getting a clear report was basically impossible. So the task? It was crystal clear. Build one single source of truth for the entire business. So what was the action? Well, it wasn't about just flicking a switch. At companies like Al Saab or Intertelecom, the plan was super methodical. First, you have to analyze what everyone actually needs. Then you implement this central brain for the whole operation, usually an ERP or SAP system. But the most important part, you have to train everyone and get them on the same page before you launch and start measuring. And here is the result. This number really shows you the scale we're talking about. This project meant training 40 key people across 7 different countries and moving all their data. And they got the whole transformation done in just 1 year, which was way ahead of schedule. Okay, fixing big systems is one thing, but those systems are run by people. And that brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, making the teams themselves work better, making them more flexible, more efficient. The way he often does this is by using something called the Agile methodology. To put it really simply, Agile is just a way of working that breaks huge projects down into small, bite-sized pieces. It makes teams way more flexible and helps them react to changes without, blowing up the whole project. And the results? They happen almost immediately. At the oil giant Halliburton, he was leading 5 teams with over 50 developers. Just by introducing one simple Agile idea, a super clear definition of done, everyone knew exactly what was expected of them. That one little change cut the number of mistakes or defects by 20% in just a couple of sprints. So the key takeaway here is that better processes just lead to better performance. By getting different teams, the product team, the tech team, the enterprise team, to actually talk to each other and collaborate, he cut down project bottlenecks by a whopping 30%. That is a massive boost to efficiency. All right, so he can fix existing systems and he can improve teams. But what about building something completely new from the ground up? This is where we see his entrepreneurial side really shine. Just take a look at this timeline for the Zen Cafe. This wasn't some little side project. This was a full-on business launch. He went from business plan to finding a location to opening the doors in just a few months. It hit profitability and returned all the initial investment in only 7 months. Then, just over a year later, it was sold as a complete, ready-to-go franchise model. That is just unbelievably fast. And the cafe wasn't a one-off thing. His experience is super broad, launching an entire e-commerce division for a telecom company, setting up every single process for a new startup, and even creating and testing a clothing brand. Now, that clothing brand, it didn't end up being profitable, so it was closed. But that experience, it's just as valuable. That's all part of the journey. So this all leads us to the most important part, the results. I mean, all the process improvements and new businesses in the world don't mean much if they don't create real, measurable change. So let's look at the numbers. Remember that project at Evergreen we talked about? It wasn't just about the technology. By really focusing on training and getting people to use the new system, customer satisfaction, what's called the Net Promoter Score, jumped by 20%. Okay, this one is just staggering. For the Entertelecom dealer business, which was really struggling with sales, he put in a central ERP system and totally revamped all their processes. And the result? A seven-fold increase in both sales and profit. 7 times! And it's not always about sales either. At Boulder's Consulting Group, he spotted a chance to transform their whole business model. He proposed and then actually led a strategic shift, moving the company from just providing staff to handling entire outsourcing projects. That move fundamentally made their business stronger. And this quote, I think it just wraps it all up perfectly. This is from his work with that dealer business. It wasn't just about fixing a problem for today. It was about creating something that was self-sufficient, well-documented, and in the end, sellable. That is the definition of a complete transformation. So, as we wrap up, it really leaves us with a fascinating question to think about. Whether it's in a giant corporation or just in your small team project, what hidden potential is just sitting there, waiting to be unlocked if only the right process was put in place? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining.